Thanksgiving weekend has passed, and now we have a lot of clarity on the playoff picture. There were some critical games played this week, and it was really hard to predict. As you can see, I'm 9-7. Yeah, for whatever reason, on Thursday and Friday, literally every underdog won. I was expecting one, maybe two upsets, not literally all of them. So that was hard to predict. I did get the Bengals right, though. Check what else I got right in the last video. And the spread, still bad, losing record, but not as dreadful as previous week. So I'm improving, yay! Still not great, and I'm probably going to finish the season with the losing record, which is quite unfortunate. Anyways, if any of my viewers are wondering why I didn't post a tiers video yesterday, as you can hear, I have a new mic because the last one broke, so I was just waiting for the delivery and just not enough time to make the tiers video, so next week though. But let's get into this week's picks. Our first game is on Thursday Night Football, and boy is this a good one. Both teams are well rested since they both played on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys coming off a huge upset to keep their season alive against the Chiefs. And the Lions getting swept by the Packers. We thought the first game was a fluke after the Packers were incredibly inconsistent for the rest of the year, and the Lions looked dominant for a minute there. And then the Lions, partly due to injury, have fallen apart a little bit. They're probably not going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown this week, which does make things tough, but they do have a really good run game. And though Dallas's defense has played well over the past few weeks, I trust the Lions' run game in this, so I'm going to pick them. However, I would not be surprised to see the Cowboys put a lot of points on the Lions because their defense, due to injury, has not been playing well. So the Cowboys absolutely can win this. And if they can win this, they easily have a shot at the playoffs. And the Lions can basically say goodbye to their wildcard chances. Because if the Lions lose this week, the only way they're making the playoffs is if they win their division. That's pretty complicated with the Packers. And for the spread, I will also be picking the Lions. I just trust them a little bit more, but I would not be surprised to see the Cowboys win this. Our next game is the Seahawks vs. Falcons. I would say this is pretty clearly a domination, but we saw what happened last week when an NFC West team played an NFC South team. Yeah, maybe the Panthers are actually legit. Falcons, they're not. They did not play that great against the Jets, and losing to the Jets is incredibly embarrassing and basically ends all chances at their division. 5 games left. They're 3 games behind the Buccaneers. There's almost no chance they catch up to the Buccaneers at this point, even if they win out. The Seahawks, they're trying to keep pace in their division and got a whole lot closer this week. I'll be taking the Seahawks because they're just easily the better team here. And the spread, a little bit hesitant on this spread, but I will take the Seahawks here because their defense is just so good. Next up, we have the Tank Bowl versus the Titans and Browns. Yeah, this was not going to be a good matchup at all from the start of the season, but since these teams were in last place last year, they were going to face each other. Here they are. Middle of playoff football, and we have this matchup to basically determine the 1 seed between these two teams. I mean, the Titans have a pretty hefty 2-game lead on the Browns for the number 1 overall pick. Browns, they're probably not going to be too mad about it. They're going to be picking high anyway, and they have the Jags pick, but that pick is going to be probably late first round at this point. Anyways, enough of draft talk. Let's talk about this game. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. The Titans, they looked terrible last week. The progress Cam Ward seemingly made reversed. And the Browns, they got a really good defense. Even better than the Jags defense. So I expect them to win this game pretty easily. Even if Shedeur Sanders doesn't have that great of a game. He's got a run game and a fantastic defense. So that should be enough. And the spread, I will also be taking the Browns here. And next game, we have yet another not very interesting game. Unlike last week. Last week was honestly a fantastic week of football. This week's schedule, not nearly as good, especially with this game. Commanders, well, they get Jaden Daniels back, probably. And Terry McLaurin finally made his return. Traylon Burks might actually be a receiver. Kind of surprising because he literally did nothing with the Titans, but kind of happens. Not a lot of players do a whole lot with the Titans. The Vikings, Max Brosmer was not it. He was somehow worse than J.J. McCarthy, which is quite impressive. So J.J. McCarthy's back. Yeah, I don't expect it to go the Vikings' way. I'm going to be picking the Commanders with Jaden Daniels coming back. Really shouldn't, but he's a football player. He wants to play, even though the season is still technically have a playoff chance, but it's very slim. And yeah, they're not making the playoffs. Neither are the Vikings. So I'm going to be picking the Commanders here. And the spread, basically a pick 'em. Taking the Commanders here. Our next game technically has playoff implications because the Dolphins, they're still alive. Not by a whole lot, but they're stacking wins. Maybe if they get lucky, there's a small chance they can make the playoffs. The only way they do that is if they keep winning games at 5-7 in what's expected to be a very tight AFC playoff picture with, I think, you needing 11 wins to make the wild card round. I don't think the Dolphins have much of a chance when the maximum amount of wins they can get is 10. I don't think they get that much, but I do think they get a win here against the Jets. The Jets got a nice win over the Falcons. They're still not very good, but Tyrod Taylor has been better than Justin Fields, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Jets win here either. And the spread, I will be taking the Dolphins here. Our next matchup is a divisional one with the Saints and Buccaneers. Saints, they played teams close. Like last week, they almost won against the Dolphins. They went for 2 to potentially tie the game and then picked 2, which is a very rare one. They managed to get the onside kick only to get stuffed on 4th down anyway, and they're sitting at 2-10, eliminated from the playoffs. The Buccaneers are trying to hold their division lead against the stubborn Panthers, who also have 7 wins and managed to get one of those wins against the Rams. Yeah, that was a shock to literally everybody. The Panthers, they're on bye this week, so the Buccaneers need to increase that lead, and I think they do it here. And the spread, I think the Saints will make this close somewhat. Our next matchup is a very big divisional matchup. The Colts versus the Jaguars. The Colts, they're in the middle of a collapse. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games and haven't looked good in any of them. Even in their one win was against the Falcons in overtime, where Jonathan Taylor bailed them out. Now, the problem is Jonathan Taylor hasn't been able to bail them out lately because Daniel Jones has a broken leg and can't run. So, if Jonathan Taylor is not getting the ball, Daniel Jones is not running. So, defenses, they're selling out to stop Jonathan Taylor, and it's working. And guess who has the #1 run defense in the NFL? Out of all teams, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's probably a shock to a lot of you. And the Jaguars, they've been quietly stacking wins after their devastating loss against the Texans. They've been playing more consistent football. I mean, the Cardinals one was weird, but the Cardinals play everybody close. It really shouldn't have been that close. The Jaguars just kept turning the ball over. I don't know what's up with the Jaguars and somehow winning, even though they lose the turnover battle by more than 4. But they didn't turn the ball over last game against the Titans, and in fact took the ball away 2 times. So that's an improvement, and I like what I see out of the Jaguars lately. So I will be picking the Jaguars. They always win at home against the Colts, and I expect that streak to continue this game. And the spread, basically a pick 'em. I'm picking the Jags here. Our next matchup is another critical division matchup with the Steelers and Ravens. This is for first place between 2 500 teams. Yeah, neither of these teams have looked good in any of their recent games. The Ravens offense has looked bad since Lamar Jackson's returned. He's gotten 0 touchdowns since he's been back, so clearly he's still hurt. And the Steelers, their quarterback is very badly hurt. Broken wrist, possibly broken nose, and a bunch of other bruises and bumps. Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he's not having a great 42 birthday. And this game can go either way. You can make a case for either team because neither team has been playing great. However, I think the difference is the defense. The Steelers' defense getting a lot of money to not do a whole lot. Meanwhile, the Ravens' defense has massively improved since earlier on in the season. I think they pull this one out. This one gave me a lot of trouble deciding because I could see either team winning this. But I will be picking the Ravens because I trust their defense a little bit more. And the spreads, why do they have this big of a spread in this game? I don't know. I'm taking the Steelers to make this close. And we have another huge 1 p.m. game. You might look at the records, see them flipped, and wonder, why is this a big game? Well, the AFC North does not have many good records. And the Bengals are only 2 games back and get to play the Ravens down the stretch. And they already split with the Steelers. So, yeah, it's going to be close. They already beat the Ravens too. And they get to play them again. The Bills, they're trying to hold their wildcard spot and maybe try to catch up to the Patriots. They play the Patriots again, but they have a 3-game lead on them, so probably not happening unless the Patriots just start losing out of nowhere. Could happen since they're missing half their offensive line, but it looks plenty fine against the Giants. If the Bengals can win this, they'd be firmly in playoff contention, but I don't think they win this one, even with Joe Burrow back, so I'll be taking the Bills here. And for the spread, I will also be taking the Bills here. We have another divisional matchup here against the Broncos and Raiders, but this one is not nearly as interesting. For the Broncos, there's definitely some interest here because they're trying to keep pace with the Patriots for the #1 seed. Winning this game would be a huge boost in that. The Raiders, they're out of the playoffs. They're playing for nothing other than a top 5 pick. So, yeah, this season has not gone as I expected for the Raiders. I thought they'd be a little better than 2-10 at this point, but yeah, their offense has been pretty garbage, so, and their defense hasn't been too great either. I expect that to continue against the Broncos, who, their defense is good and their offense shows up in the 4th quarter or overtime whenever they need it, just never in the first 3 quarters. I don't think it'll be nearly that close in this game. I mean, the Broncos have blown the Cowboys out at one point, but spread. I'll be picking the Broncos here as well, even though they don't really cover the spread, and I could absolutely see this game being close for no reason. We have another divisional matchup, but this one is big. The Bears, the #1 seed in the NFC, versus the Packers, who had a huge win against the Lions this week. I don't know. This game could go either way. Which team do you believe in more? Do you believe in the Packers, who played their best game offensively all year and looked pretty great on defense too, or the Bears, who Caleb Williams didn't do a whole lot against the Eagles, but their run game was amazing, and their defense played great too. They lead the NFL in takeaways, and they're a tough unit anyway. So this game could go either way, but I'm actually going to lean the Bears here. Yes, the Packers' run defense is top 10. However, they've been giving up some yards as of late, and I think if the Bears can run on the Eagles' defense, they can run the ball on anybody. So I think this is a game where they run the ball all over the Packers, and the Packers offense goes back to not making sense. Yes, I know the Packers own the Bears at home. They always beat them at home. I think that streak ends here. Ben Johnson has this team playing different. And the spread, I'm taking the Bears here. Honestly, that spread is pretty insulting. Our next game is the Rams vs. Cardinals, another division game this week. This one with less playoff implications than previous ones. Only one team is playing for anything. The Cardinals were eliminated from the playoffs this week. And the Rams took a surprising loss against the Panthers, though I wouldn't say it was a bad one. Yeah, Matthew Stafford turned the ball over a lot in that game, but the Panthers, they've been forcing turnovers, and they have a pretty solid defense. And look, the Panthers, they actually seem legit with 7 wins. They're firmly in the playoff race, possible playoff team, so not as big of a penalty for the Rams. I think this is a pretty big bounce back game for them, even though it absolutely could be close because the Cardinals play everybody close with Jacoby Brissett. Just can't get across the finish line. The Rams, 8.5, I could see them getting it, but I'm actually going to pick the Cardinals. I think this is going to be a surprisingly close game within a score, but the Rams should be able to pull this one out. And next up, we have a huge Sunday night game against the Texans and Chiefs. This is a massive game after what happened this weekend. The Texans knocking off the Colts, getting a big win there, and the Chiefs losing to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. A brutal loss there, and now the Chiefs, they're on the verge of getting knocked out of the playoffs. If they lose this game, they are pretty much out because they have no tiebreakers against anybody, even if they win out. They would not be able to catch up in the division, and they would not be able to catch anybody in the wild card, probably. Even somebody in the wild card with 10 wins, unless it's the Colts, the Chiefs are not getting in. Now, the Colts definitely could absolutely just lose everything and the Chiefs can sneak in somehow, but you don't want to rely on that scenario. They need to win this game to at least get one tiebreaker on a team that is in front of them right now. The Texans, that defense is playing hot right now, shutting everybody down, and the Chiefs, they are playing desperate in this game. And I think a desperate Chiefs shows up. The Texans offense is not good, even with CJ Stroud back. And I think the Chiefs defense can slow them down and probably hold them to less than 20. All the Chiefs need to do is score more than 20 points, and I think they win this game. And I think Patrick Mahomes in a pressure situation is able to do that. And the Chiefs, they're favored. I will be taking them here as well. And for our last matchup on Monday, this is also another pretty big matchup. The Eagles versus the Chargers. The Eagles, they're looking shaky right now. They have locker room troubles. Even when they're winning, it always looks like something's off. The execution is bad, the play calling is bad, and the defense got ran on against the Bears. The Chargers, they had a pretty good win this week against the Raiders. I mean, it wasn't the greatest game, especially since Justin Herbert broke his left hand. That's rough, and they're already dealing with offensive line injuries against an Eagles D-line that is pretty ferocious. Yeah, that is a recipe for disaster. Yeah, the Chargers, they played some good football after making a bad loss against the Jags. I think they lose this one because the Eagles defense is able to step up here. So I'll be picking the Eagles here to get a huge bounce back win and to help the Chiefs out a little bit. And the Eagles are favored, so I'll be picking them here as well. Let me know what you guys think of these picks in the comment section below. Do you think I'd be wrong again this week, or do you think I will actually be the most accurate picker this week? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and sub. It lets me know you guys actually like these videos. Anyways, I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye.